This is the full parts 1 through 4 of the Cruel Emperor series I posted, but in long play compilation form. It was one of my favorite series to voice, and I do plan to reprise all parts in the near future. So, if you want to see my new take on it, please let me know down below. Thank you all so much for listening. Enjoy your audios, and to those of you who are heading to sleep, sweet dreams. Mwah.
Oh, goody. For once, you brutes managed to escort a prisoner to me without too many visible bruises. Color me impressed. Set the prisoner down there. You may unshackle the prisoner. I doubt some scruffy street urchin possesses much of a threat to me, even with their hands free. Excellent. You're dismissed. Both of you. Leave us together. Alone. Did you not hear me? I said leave us. I trust that you don't need reminding of how much your emperor hates having to repeat himself. No. Permit me to sincerely apologize for any rough treatment you may have received at the hands of my underlings. My palace guard is hardly staffed by the brightest or gentlest creatures. I know, but they're quite effective at knocking heads together, so I keep them around. Good help is so hard to find, wouldn't you agree? Well, I suppose I shouldn't ask you. You don't look like the sort of person who's ever had a servant. In any case, let's proceed to the reason I summoned you here, to my chambers. Who are you, and what brings you to my domain? Your emperor has asked you a question. If you know what's good for you, you'll answer quickly and truthfully. I am known for many traits, but patience has never been one of them. Who are you? A strange name. You're from someplace far, far away, aren't you? I suspected as much. They tell me that you came here stowed away on a whaling ship. They tell me that they found you hiding below decks, huddled inside a filthy crate, skulking in the shadows like a rat. Is that true? Are you a rat? Really? Are you quite certain of that? Because you don't look like much of a person to me, let alone a civilized one. You look like a frightened little animal, cowering here in front of me, afraid to do so much as meet the eyes of the man that you can sense instinctively is in every possible respect your superior. Do you know, it was my idiotic advisors who counseled me to have you hauled in from the dungeon for questioning? They were convinced you were a spy in the service of our adversaries. As if anyone would be fool enough to entrust such a delicate role to some timid cretin like yourself. Oh, don't think I didn't see the wetness growing in your eyes. Have my words pricked your pride? Have I wounded you? Perhaps you feel as though I'm being needlessly cruel, that I should be more charitable to you, seeing as you're my guest and everything. Well, that's precisely the problem, isn't it? You're not my guest. You're an intruder, an interloper who snuck their way into my empire like a thief in the night, quite uninvited. You're only receiving the degree of courtesy which benefits such a person. Yes, you heard me correctly. My empire. Surely you recognize my face, no? Think hard. Is it familiar? Have you ever seen this stately visage before? Perhaps rendered not in flesh, but in stone, or white marble, or oil paint on one of the majestic statues or portraits or tapestries lining the walls of this palace. Why, there are so many of them. You must have glimpsed at one or two as they marched you down these halls. I suppose I can't entirely fault you for not seeing the resemblance sooner. Talented as the many artisans under my patronage are, no artwork in the world could do justice to the real thing. I do suppose it would be rather impolite, now that you've introduced yourself, for me not to return the courtesy. I am Emperor Kairo, sovereign and supreme ruler of this realm. All that you have seen since you arrived on these shores, every regal balustrade and balcony, every lustrous jewel and gemstone, every common man and mouse belongs to me. And that includes yourself. My, there is something very amusing about the way you're looking at me. Your eyes burn with fear and confusion. These emotions I see all the time in the eyes of my subjects, but in your gaze they're mixed with something else. What is it, I wonder? Some unspoken earnestness? Perhaps a latent, involuntary sense of gratitude that someone as radiant and beautiful as myself is so much as willing to glance in your direction, let alone speak to you. That some inconsequential little ragamuffin like you, somehow, some way, through some fickle twist of fate, ended up slouched at the feet of an emperor. Or is it desire? Look at you squirm. Do I make you uncomfortable? Not enough for you to force you to mask your emotions, apparently. Or do you simply lack the self-control to do so? You know how serious your predicament is. You know very well that I can snap my fingers should I have the slightest inclination and have you locked away in some deep, dark, tiny hole for the rest of your days. Still, you just couldn't help it. Your infatuation with me is written all over your face. You're love-struck. Don't worry, I have a weakness for flattery. One of my admitted vices, and I will confess to being a touch flattered. What's more, you've caught me in an unusually generous mood, so I'm inclined to forgive your impudence. That is, if you play your part to my satisfaction. Get up, on your feet. Follow me to the foyer. Sit down in that lounge chair. Yes, you have my permission. Go on. Oh, was that a little whine I just heard? Is it really so comfortable? Don't answer that. Of course it is. It's plush velvet. Probably the softest, coziest thing you'll ever sit on. Certainly, I bet. It's infinitely more comfortable than that cold, rough, cobbled floor of the dungeon. Let me take a seat next to you. Oh, is that a problem for you? I know it's not a very large chair. It was only built for one, after all. I'm so close to you. Why, my body is practically pressing into you. Are you feeling uncomfortable? No, That's the right answer. Of course you aren't. Such a good little intruder. You know, I was initially planning to bring you up here for a quick chat to appease my advisors and then throw you back down there. But now, against my better judgment, I'm beginning to think I'd like to get to know you better. There's just something about your demeanor I can't help but be fond of. Even when that demeanor manifests in such a small, pitiful vessel. Would you like to share a meal with your emperor? You look unsure, as though you're wondering if this is all some elaborate trick. That's awfully cute. I'll concede that. But no tricks or traps. My offer is perfectly genuine. Though, of course, no one's forcing you to accept. It's entirely your choice. If you'd prefer, I can always just call my men and have them escort you back to that little cell I dragged you out of, and you can dine on whatever maggot-ridden gruel that they feed you down there instead. That's what a rat would choose, I suppose, dining on dirty scraps in the dark. But you said that you weren't a rat, right? That's what I thought. But that's not what you need to say. Yes, what? You say yes, Emperor, and try not to stammer next time. Good. You are a quick learner. You might just have your uses after all. Here, you may finish what remains on that plate. You interrupted me in the middle of my dinner, so there's a fair bit left to eat. Oh, no, don't apologize, darling. Though I do appreciate the impulse. That servile tone suits you. I'm glad that I brought you here. Truth be told, I was dreadfully bored before. But now, I have a new plaything, and that's always a delight. Oh, what's that bashful look? Do you not like being called a plaything? Or are you just too shy to admit that you do like it? Neither way, you do well to get accustomed to the title. It's simply the truth. I don't know what backwater you crawled out of, nor do I care, but you're in my world now, and everyone here is my plaything. It's only that some are more treasured than others. However, that need not be a bad thing. I treat my pets well as long as they play their little roles and keep me entertained. You only have cause to be worried if you disobey me. I do confess, I have a bad habit of breaking my toys when they fail to amuse me. Oh, sincerest apologies. I didn't mean to scare you. I can see that I'm putting you off of your dinner. Don't be frightened. There's nothing to fear so long as you do what I say. Come on, take a bite. You'll love it. I promise. It's braised sunfish with lemon and clover. Only the freshest, juiciest catch from the fishmonger's morning harvest. Prepared painstakingly by my personal chefs. That particular specimen would fetch a pretty penny at a market. Come to think of it, it's probably worth a good deal more than any food you've ever eaten. But here you are, enjoying it free of charge, as my treat. There are benefits to sharing the company of the Emperor. If you serve me well, then you'll come to learn what that is soon enough. Actually, don't use that fork. Put it down. You probably don't even know how to hold it properly. I doubt someone like you's ever taken any classes in etiquette after all. Here, let me put my arm around you and bring you close. I'll feed you. Open your mouth. Do I look as though I'm not being serious? Ask me such a stupid question again and I won't be so forgiving. I said, open your mouth. There we are. Here comes the first bite. Oh, you look so adorable. My pet, eating my food from my fork in my parlor. Close your mouth and chew, darling. You'll use good manners when you eat in my table if you don't want to eat your next meal off the floor. Oh, it is so tasty, isn't it? Better than you've had in a long while, I know. Here, let me feed you another. Open your mouth. It's just delightful watching your expression while you eat. You're so hungry. I can tell that you love nothing more than to tear into that sunfish with both hands and scarf it all down like a rabid animal. But you won't, because you know that you have to be good for me. And that means while you're here, you won't behave like an animal. Unless, of course, I decide that I want you to. Do you like me rubbing your back with my other hand? Here, lean in closer. You wouldn't want to spill anything. Have another bite. Do you need something to drink? You must be parched. Have some white wine. I can tell you how rare and expensive this vintage is, but who are we kidding? Someone like you would hardly know the difference. Instead, I'll only promise it'll slake your thirst. Never sipped wine from a crystal goblet before? You don't have to answer that, darling. Let me just raise it to your lips. Drink as much as you like. The whole thing if you want to. The wine should loosen you up a little too. Take care of that trembling in your hands. Don't think that I didn't notice. Your emperor notices everything. The thirsty one, aren't you? Oh, careful. Don't let it dribble down your chin. Here, let me clean you up. Oh, such a clumsy little pet. You've stained your shirt. Well, it's not like it was in very presentable condition to begin with. We'll need to get you something else to wear. And before that, we'll need to have you bathed. No, don't fuss now. You're doing so well. Don't worry, I'll allow you to finish your dinner first. Open your mouth. Here comes another bite. Very good. Oh, I can tell that you're special. You're so eager to please. If only so it'll earn you more fine silks to recline on and tantalizing food to eat. But that's not all you like, is it? You like attention from me too, don't you? You like it when I rub your back in your hair, when I stroke your cheek. Don't bother being shy and looking away. Your face tells me at a glance all that I need to know. You don't need to be embarrassed. You're hardly the only one who yearns for my company. That list number's far too many to ever put on paper. You are, however, one of the rare few that receive that pleasure. I can only hope that you're capable of appreciating how lucky you are that I've taken an interest in you. Perfect answer. Yes, Emperor, indeed. You are a quick learner. Until now, I was debating it in my mind, but I think I've made my decision. I'm gonna keep you. You're going to be my new project. Do you know what that means? Of course not. You don't know anything. It means I'm going to fill that empty head of yours with so many wonderful things, and that if you behave and please me, maybe I'll fill your hands with a thing or two as well. It means I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to have you cleaned up and made prim and proper, and you're going to learn to serve me just as I want to be served. Here, don't speak. Just have another bite. Actually, you'll eat it directly from my hand this time. Oh, you look a bit uncertain. Are you reluctant to eat from my fingers? No, of course you're not. There you go. Eat it all. Good. Consider this a microcosm of our future relationship. I'll hold you close and feed you the most extravagant treats. In exchange, you'll be good and loyal and obedient. Does that sound like a fair trade? Oh, come now. That didn't sound quite enthusiastic enough. Convince me. You know, if you won't provide me sufficient cause to be sure of your loyalties, I just might be forced to reevaluate whether or not you're a spy after all. And then. Oh, relax, calm down. You should hear the shrill desperation in your voice. It's absolutely adorable. I'll have to make you beg more often. But I'm only playing with you, pet. Don't worry yourself. You're safe with me. I know you'll be loyal. I can already tell. Here, have another bite. Oh my, it's grown quite late, hasn't it? After you finish your dinner, we'll retire. Yes, I said we. You didn't think I'd be so cruel enough to send you to sleep down in that cell again, did you? No, that's no place for my loyal servant. And that's what you are, isn't it? You'll find your rest here in my chambers. Yes. Now here, another treat is waiting for you in your emperor's hand. Very good. I have so many delightful things in store for you. Ah, there you are. Right in your chair where you belong. So good. I confess, I feared that you might succumb to your baser instincts and started prowling about after I left you alone. How disappointing it would have been to have to punish you after all the affection I lavished on you earlier. But don't fret. No need for that worried look. You proved you could behave even when left to your own devices. So, there's no cause for disciplining you. In fact, quite on the contrary, I think your good behavior merits a reward. Would you like a reward, my pet? Of course you would. And you'll have one, all in due time. But first, there are a few errands we'll have to see to. I already explained that I'd have to have you washed and dressed properly before we retire to bed. Your current attire is hardly appropriate for my servants' quarters, let alone for my intimate chambers. You won't make a fuss about being washed, will you? Excellent. That's precisely what I desire to hear from you. Yes, Emperor. I particularly love that little mewling, whining tone your voice takes on as you reply to me. It's so very appropriate for your station. You have the makings of an immensely promising pet, and I do not say that lightly. Follow me now. I'll show you to the baths. I've had one of my maid girls run a nice bath for you. I specifically instructed her to pour in a generous amount of lavender bath soap. That's the source of all those pretty little bubbles you see foaming at the water's surface. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Isn't the aroma positively intoxicating? Would you believe me if I told you that I routinely have a particular variant of lavender shipped in at a great expense from one of my colonies across the vast ocean solely so that it can be distilled into this soap? Sailors risk hundreds of leagues of sea and storm just to ferry it to my palace. Imagine all that sweat and blood and salt expended simply to make your bath maximally pleasurable. Oh, dear pet, how sweet of you to say. But you don't have to thank me. It's only the natural order of things. My empire's a great and sprawling machine, and the single function of that machine is to serve my ambitions, my desires. Not least of those desires is that I and my pets and consorts should want for no earthly luxury. Should you prove yourself and take a more permanent place at my side, you will quickly find that there is no material expense that I will spare to see the satisfaction of those I hold closest. Why, this room itself is a testament enough to that. Layer on layer of marble and ivory and glittering gold filigree. It's like something out of one of those old storybooks about a pretty princess who lives in an impossibly splendid castle by the sea. I wonder, standing here now, do you feel like a princess? Oh, you look like you're thinking very hard about how to answer that in a way I approve of. Adorable. Don't worry, pet. It is only a little joke. Is your emperor not permitted a sense of humor? In any case, please stop gawking and remove your clothes. Well, what are you waiting for? Did I not make it clear that when I issue an instruction, I expect. Wait. Oh, my apologies, darling. Hush now. No need to explain. I see now by that flustered expression and those fidgeting hands what's really happening here. You don't intend to disobey me. It's just that pesky pride of yours rearing its ugly head again. Here, come closer. Lift your head up and meet my eyes. You're shy, aren't you, pet? You're too proud to disobey me. Don't be afraid. You aren't in any trouble. In the long run, it'd probably be wise to train that bashfulness out of you. But I confess, some part of me does find it ever so cute. And you are new. So, I'll tell you what. I'll permit it. For tonight, at least. Here, let me turn around and offer you your privacy for a moment. But this time, I expect you to obey. Now take off your clothes and get in your bath. good servant. No, no, don't shrink away from me. Do not fret. Don't try to cover yourself. I promise no one can see a thing beneath all those bubbles. See? Your emperor isn't such a cruel master now, is he? I'm not unwilling to indulge your little insecurities if I must. I don't even mind so much as long as they don't keep you from playing your role. Was that a little sigh I heard just now? Low-born folk always melt at the slightest taste of luxury. It's really very endearing. Don't try to stifle it. I want to hear every little murmur you make. Close your eyes and let the warm water envelop you and sweep all of your cares right off of your shoulders. It looks so comfortable. I'm almost tempted to join you in there. What do they bathe in where you're from, I wonder? Some tin basin full of stale dishwater? Do you even bathe at all? You don't have to answer that. Raise those arms so I could begin scrubbing them. What's with that look of surprise? You didn't think I'd just leave you alone to bathe yourself. Whatever put such a little silly notion into your head? Let me ask you a question, and think hard before you answer. If you took a mangy, stray dog into your house, out of the rain, would you leave him to bathe himself? No. Why not? Very good. Exactly right. Because he doesn't know how to do it properly. He'd only make a mess. Now raise your arms. Now just scrub ever so gently with this sponge. Oh, it is a pleasant sensation, isn't it? Your little purrs say more than words ever could. See, you would have splashed and thrashed around like that rough creature you are. You don't know the first thing about using a gentle touch. And that's alright. That's why I'm here. Up and down. Slow strokes. You may close your eyes again if you'd like. Now for your hair. Let me rub a little soap into your scalp and work up a nice lather. There. Doesn't that feel nice? Have you ever washed your hair with soap before? Do you wash it at all? Frankly, I think I can surmise the answer from the state of it. We'll have to bring my barber in to see to that sometime. But one problem at a time. Can't turn a scruffy little rat into an esteemed noble all in one fell swoop. It has to be done bit by bit. Every little filthy inch scrubbed squeaky clean, one at a time. What was that? What did you say? Do not lie to me. Do not ever lie to your emperor. You said something just a moment ago, under your breath, ever so softly, but I heard it all the same. What was it? I will give you one last chance to tell me of your own volition. That's what I thought you said. I obviously gave you too much credit earlier if you're still willing to talk back to me. That beastly instinct of yours was still there, just below the veneer of obedience. How disappointing. Oh, you weren't talking back to me? Listen to that desperate little wail creep back into your voice. It's like you know how great a misstep you just made and would do absolutely anything to take your words back. But it's too late. I heard what you said quite clearly. I'm not a rat. That's what you said, isn't it? Answer me. Yes, it is. You do not ever show such impertinence to me. Is that clear? Evidently it isn't. Lift your head up. Look into my eyes when I speak to you. You are whatever I say you are, and you do well to remember that before so flippantly contradicting your benefactor. Do not let the fine food in your belly and my delicate hands threading through your hair give you the delusion of grandeur. You are a rat, a pathetic, dirty rat from some nameless gutter that your emperor, out of the kindness of his own heart, has taken pity on and decided to take under his wing. And you repay that kindness with insolence. Ugh. Oh, does that hurt? Is it painful when I pull your hair back like that? Good. Go ahead. Let those tears roll down your cheek. Cry. Whimper. Make whatever vulgar noises come naturally to you. I don't care. You'll learn your place here one way or another. And that won't always be a pleasant process. To think I was feeling charitable enough to wash you myself instead of delegating the task to one of my maid girls, only for you to go and ruin it all with your brutish behavior. Go on and finish cleaning yourself as best as you can, you disgusting little wretch. You're hardly capable of anything resembling a thorough job, but you've exhausted my patience. I'll be waiting in my bedchamber when you're finished. Then I'll decide what to do with you. No, hello, darling. You spent an awfully long time in the bath after I left. I was growing worried. I see you slipped into those silk nightclothes I left out for you. You look very dashing in them. I don't know how well you can see by the dim candlelight, but I procured a set for you that matches my own nightgown. Isn't that sweet? Oh no, please don't shy away. I'm not angry with you anymore, I promise. Come over here and join me, please. Here, you have my permission to lie down on my bed beside me. Hush now. No need for all those stammered words. I know you must be so eager to apologize, but you can calm down. It's all right. I've had time to reflect, and I realize that I was much too harsh with you before. Oh, poor thing. You flinched when I reached out to touch you just now. You're afraid. Afraid I'll hurt you again. I won't hurt you, I promise. Let me just put my arms around you and bring you in close. I want to speak to you about what happened in the bath. I just lost my composure. I thought you were being a brat after all the hard work that I'd put into you. But you're not a brat, are you? You're so good for me. Yes, you are. I understand now that you didn't mean to talk back and upset me, pet. You were only defending yourself from what sounded like a cruel jab. But Though my anger has faded, the lesson remains. Do you know what that lesson is? I know you're frightened, darling, but please try not to stammer. It's so hard to understand you when you do. It'd help to soothe your nerves if I ran my hand through your hair. You seem to enjoy that before. The lesson you will need to learn is that when I tell you something, even something about yourself that you don't think is true, you do not argue. Try to understand. I don't tell you these things to hurt or humiliate you. I tell them to you to reveal to you the disparity between what you are and what you need to become. I speak with love and always for your own good, even when my words seem cruel. Oh, you're still frightened. You're trembling and look as though you're on the verge of tears. Poor thing. Let me hold you tighter. Will that make you feel more secure? Hmm. I can only imagine how you felt cowering in your bathwater after I left. Terrified you displeased me, and it was only a matter of time until I came to strip away all those pretty things I've given you and cast you back to the depths of the dungeon like a discarded toy. But I won't do that, my sweet. I promise. You're safe here, with me. You'll spend the night sharing my soft, inviting bed. Let me pull the covers over you and let you get all snug and warm. Doesn't that feel cozy? Here, maybe this will help take your mind off of things. I promise you a treat for being good for me earlier. In fact, I think you need reassurance of my affection for you now more than ever. Turn your head and look into my eyes. My, our faces are so close together. Not quite like this. I want you to kiss me. You heard me correctly. Surely you didn't think my favorite plaything spent all day lounging around and nibbling on expensive fish and taking bubble baths, did you? Of course, there's plenty of that to be had, don't misunderstand me. But I think what I treasure the most from my toys is their companionship. I want to mold you into my ideal confidant, keeper of my nightly whispered secrets, my source of comfort and affection after a strenuous day of statecraft and war and intrigue. Even, perhaps, if you prove to be good for me. My lover. Oh, I wish you could see your eyes right now. They're wide as saucers. From that look of shock, you'd think I told you that you were going to be executed tomorrow morning. Fret not, Pat. That's all a matter for the days to come. We need not discuss your more intimate responsibilities tonight. I promise I won't press any of that on you before you're ready. All I offer tonight is a little kiss, nothing more. I hope my embrace has calmed your nerves a bit. Here, I'll guide you. Don't worry. Just close your eyes, lean forward, and you're a little clumsy. I don't suppose that you've had a great deal of experience, but that's no worry. You're eager to please, and that's all I need. You'll learn. Let me cup your cheek with my hand. Next time, tilt your head a bit to the side. When our lips meet, don't be afraid to press closer. You won't hurt me. And then, let my tongue slip past them. Mm, mm, mm. Excellent. Mm. That was delicious. So good. Your lips are so soft, and your mouth is so warm and wet and alluring. I almost couldn't bring myself to part from you. I hope you didn't mind my wandering tongue. I know that some find that particular technique a little strange, but I'm quite fond of it, and I couldn't resist. Tell me, what does it feel like to kiss an emperor? Blissful? Color me impressed. That was a perfect response. Very good. Do you know what that word means, or did you merely pick it up from me? No, never mind, I don't care. You're doing so well it doesn't matter. I'm sorry that I doubted you. And I'm sorry I was so callous with you before. You just needed a little time and patience, that's all. Now kiss me again. Mm. Rest your head in my arms. Let me cradle you. You are my perfect little pet. I can see that now. And you'll grow to see it too. In the coming days, as we train you and prepare you for all that will be required of you, you'll see that wretched little creature that arrived on my shores fade away and be replaced by something warm and soft and beautiful. A proper regal pet, fit to sit at the side of the Emperor. But that can all wait until tomorrow. For now, just nestle close and close your eyes. Sweet dreams, darling. Mwah. A good long bath always does wonders to cool my temper after a particularly strenuous day. Ah, I see you've awoken, pet. Excellent. I might have asked you to join me as I bathed, but I didn't wish to rouse you. You always look so perfectly serene when you slumber, your little chest rising and falling ever so slightly. What wild dreams make their way into that little head of yours when you sleep, I wonder. I think I could imagine. My apologies for returning to our bedchamber at such a late hour. I hope I didn't give you cause to worry. Today's proceedings unfortunately dragged on an excessively long time, but they're finished at last, and your emperor is ready to join you for bedtime. Go on, move over a little, and make room for me. Very good. Here, allow me to reward my pet's obedience with a little kiss on the forehead. Mwah. Yes, let me wrap my arms around you and draw you in. Just like that. Cuddling you is such a pleasure. I've been yearning for this feeling all day. You simply can't imagine how torturous it was for me today. Having to sit on the throne wrapped up in all that stuffy finery and suffer through hour upon hour of tedious diplomatic round tables when I wanted nothing more than to slip into this nightgown and slink back to my chambers, these velvet sheets, and my favorite pet's loving embrace. Alas, all of us have our responsibilities to attend to. Your emperor most of all. Oh, and I do appreciate your polite interest in the details of my day, pet, but don't fret over it. It's none of your concern. The minutiae of all that complicated statecraft and negotiation would only bore you. You'd never be able to wrap your little mind around such intricate matters. And besides, the business of my court is often quite serious. I fear it would be too much for a soft, sensitive little thing like yourself to hear about. No, don't look so disappointed. Oh, how could I say no to that little pout and those irresistibly cute puppy eyes? Very well. If you are truly so curious, I'll indulge you. Today's meetings were between myself and a certain high lord from the east. This lord has been quite vocal in his belief that the crown's new slate of taxes on naval imports are very unjust, and he has come with the imperial court to demand certain concessions. If I don't submit to those demands, he's threatened a blockade of our eastern ports. He mistakenly believes that his possession of a few godforsaken spits of barren rock in a decrepit castle or two gives him adequate leverage to demand anything of me. Oh, I wish that I could be in attendance when the royal fleet encircles all his pathetic, worm-eaten little ships like a great iron fist and smashes all of them to splinters in a hail of cannon fire. Like most nobles, he's a very proud man. He wore the most infuriatingly arrogant little smirk during our negotiations this morning, as though he really believed he had the upper hand. It would be nothing short of a privilege to be present to see that smirk melt into cold despair as he watches his livelihood burn and sink into the harbor, and it dawns on him, far too late, that he should not have tempted the wrath of his emperor. In my mind, I can only hear those wails, those shrill pleas for mercy and clemency. Delectable. Proud men never stay proud to the end. Did you know that, Pat? That's something I've been taught quite well by all those poor fools I've had to bend and break over the course of my tenure as the Emperor. Sure, they put up a nice facade of bravery, but like all the rest, they're soft and squishy and vulnerable on the inside once you crack them open. Even the proudest men fall to their knees and whimper and beg like animals once they see the Reaper's sickle on the horizon. I prefer honest men, and honest toys, too. Toys who forgo the delusion of pride from the start. Good toys like yourself, who know their place, who don't try in vain to puff themselves up to seem big and strong and brave, when they're small and weak and cowardly. Oh no, I'm sorry, Pat. I can see by that wetness in your pretty eyes and that quivering lip that I'm only frightening you with my passion, my ferocity. Oh, I told you that all that serious talk would be too much for you to handle. I'm sorry I scared you. Here, no more of that. Just nestle into my arms. Let me run my fingers through your hair and soothe you. You may cry if you're feeling too overwhelmed. I won't mind. I've grown quite fond of your soft heart, and how easily you're moved to tears when you're scared or confused. You do not need to be embarrassed. It's quite endearing now. Tender you are. Let's change the subject to my favorite little subject. Tell me about your day. What was my darling Pat up to while his master was away, I wonder? Nothing naughty, I hope. Oh, don't worry. Hush, hush now. I was only being playful. I know you're much too loyal and well-behaved to do anything I wouldn't approve of. You're so good for me, Isn't that right? Of course you are. That's why your emperor loves you. If only all the rebellious little worms spoiling my big, beautiful world could be as demure and soft and pliable as you. Maybe my crown wouldn't be quite so heavy a weight to bear sometimes. But having you around to be affectionate with in the late hours of the day makes dealing with all that rabble each morning so much easier. There, nuzzle into my neck. And I know you would never betray me. It's true that you aren't a product of one of those fancy academies that spawn all these worthless lords and ladies who clutter up my court. But nonetheless, you somehow know one thing they never truly learned. You know that all you have, your food and your bed and your clothes and your life, you owe to your emperor's generosity. And you see, likewise, that all he has so magnanimously given to you, he can strip away just that easily. Isn't that right? I do so enjoy that mewling whine in your voice when you say yes, Emperor, as though you're frightened you'll upset me and earn a punishment if you don't agree with me meekly enough. So keen to be submissive. But how could you be any other way? I raised you up from nothing at all, didn't I? Plucked you from the gutter and put the most savory food in your mouth, dripped the most luxurious clothes around your shoulders, lavished on you my warmest affections. You'd have to be the most ungrateful sort of creature to be anything but perfectly servile in speaking to the man who handed you the world on a silver platter. How fortunate for us both that you're a good little toy instead. I can feel your heart beating fast through your chest. It always quickens its pace when we lie together, doesn't it? It's admittedly flattering. The effect hearing my teasing words and being close to me clearly has on you. You are so completely, unashamedly in love with me. It's adorable. Here, let me place your hand on my chest. I want you to feel something. Do you feel the beating of my heart? You ought to feel it distinctly. I'm hardly wearing much beneath my nightgown. In fact, I'm not wearing anything underneath it. Oh, there's that shy look again. Did you not realize that a little measure of thin silk was all that separated our bodies? No, don't take your hand away. When I give you permission to touch me, you need not be reluctant. If it helps, remember that being affectionate with me is much of a duty to you as it is a privilege, and I need not remind you of what I expect when I order you to do your duty. Speaking of your duties and privileges, I've been meaning to commend you on your progress with our little kissing lessons. You were so inexperienced to start off, but you're becoming quite a natural. And I don't need to tell you that it's a high praise coming from someone with lips as discerning as my own. Tonight, I'd like to continue your instruction and teach you a new trick. Do you recall that when I kissed you for the first time, I made use of my tongue in a certain way? I'd like for us to do that again, only this time it'll be your tongue doing the honors. Aw, shh. No need to speak. I can tell you're nervous. I told you, none of your little fits and fidgets escape your emperor's notice, didn't I? It's quite all right. I know very well how prone to anxiety my good little toy is. Don't fret. You're safe as long as you listen and obey. Let me guide you. Here, I'll cup your cheek. Do you like the feeling of my warm hand on your face? It's fresh from my bath and ever so soft, I know. If you inhale, you can still smell the lavender. Let me bring your head up. Tilt it a little to the side, and... exquisite. I've been hungering for your lips pressed against mine all day. Another. Perfect. I almost can't bear to part from that warm, inviting mouth of yours. But I'd hardly be a very good teacher if I skipped over the crux of the lesson. Now, allow me to demonstrate the proper technique. Did you feel how my tongue snaked in past your parted teeth and met your own? Did you feel me press my way into your mouth and take claim over what's mine? Everything in this world is about power, you know, in one way or another. Even matters of the bedroom. Especially matters of the bedroom, if we're being perfectly honest. But one of the more enjoyable aspects of wielding great power is allowing those beneath you to play at wielding it as well. Even if it's only play. So, you have my permission, pet. I'll kiss you again. And when I do just as I did. Excellent. You're as quick a learner with kissing as you are with everything else. Color me impressed, but my star pupil isn't finished yet. Practice makes perfect, as they say. You're awfully eager with that tongue. I love it. Don't be afraid to be a little more forceful. I promise you won't offend me. Think of me as a fearsome lion playing with a poor, helpless, lost lamb. Though my prey might put up a pitiful fight in my mouth, nothing you do can ever truly threaten me. When my little lamb plays aggressive, it merely makes devouring them all the more amusing. Good little toy. For a sweet, frail little lamb, you do have a bit more vigor in you after all. And I loved the way you stroked my hips just now. Your touch is still clumsy and unpracticed, but nevertheless, those eager fingers feel divine caressing my skin like that. How did a rough little beast like you come to possess such soft fingers? I think I could find one or two other excellent uses for them. But perhaps another night. One lesson at a time. Oh, that was perfect. I need a break. I don't want to spoil my enjoyment by gorging myself on this delicious meal we're sharing together too quickly. I only hope that my good little toy enjoys her first lesson as much as their emperor did. Aw, I'm so pleased to hear that, pet. Your honeyed words make even a mighty lion feel a little tender inside. Here, come press in close to me. Let me cradle you. So good. You're doing ever so well in your new role. I hope you realize that. I can hardly believe that it was only a short while ago that you were just another unremarkable gutter rat. And now, look at you, my prized pet. You've come so far, though you still have a long way to go. Our little lesson has whet my thirst. Would you like a drink as well? I saved a little something for us to share. Let me ring for one of my servant girls. You there, girl. There's an icebox in the foyer. Bring me the bottle inside and a pair of glasses. Quickly now. What are you gawking at? I gave you an instruction, girl. Are you new? Do you not know where the foyer is? Oh, you are looking at my bedmate. Do not lie to your emperor. You were looking at them. If you'd like to keep your position, I'd advise you stop looking at them like that. This is my companion, and thus none of your concern. Do I make myself clear? Excellent. An apology accepted, darling. But don't make me wait any longer. Good girl. You're dismissed. Oh, you'll love this wine. I had it brought up from the cellars just for us. Let me sit up a moment and pour you a glass. There we go. A generous serving for my favorite plaything, as a reward for scoring such a brilliant mark on their lesson today. Oh, the servant girl. Don't mind her. She must be new and unacclimated to my usual standards of decorum. I hope her staring at you in this state didn't upset you, my sweet. I know how sensitive you are. Perhaps you are too shy to bear the thought of a stranger seeing us entangled into one another's arms. How adorable. Oh, could you really not tell? Your inexperience continues to amuse. That was interest she was looking at you with. My servant girls are expressly forbidden from entertaining amorous relationships because of certain past incidents. As a result, most of them are, sadly, more than a bit lonely, and I don't often invite non-aristocratic company. So, when she saw you lying there in my arms, freshly washed and dressed in all that dashing silk, and cast in flattering candlelight, well, I suppose you seemed a little enticing to her. My, this wine is so rich, I've already nearly finished my glass. No shame in having another, I suppose. Though, I hope you didn't feel anything untoward about her. Sure, she was young and lithe and pretty. All of my servant girls are. But you're mine, and an emperor doesn't share his toys with servants any more than a lion shares his prey with jackals. My, if I caught you slinking off with one of those little tarts without my permission, you'd regret ever. Ahem. But we need not worry about that. You wouldn't have a dalliance with some servant and risk displeasing your emperor. You're my precious toy after all. I know that sort of crass disloyalty is the furthest thing on your mind. I'll have to personally express my thanks to the vineyard keeper. This wine is nothing short of sublime. And besides, even if you had a real connection with one of those girls, perhaps if I were in an extraordinarily generous mood, something could be arranged. I'd have to be present for the tryst, of course. That's absolutely essential. I won't permit that sort of thing without my involvement. But, oh, what am I saying? Forgive me. The wine has gone straight to my head. Ignore my drunken rambling. I don't know what wild place my wandering tongue has dragged me off to. I do know where that wandering tongue belongs, though. Here, let me serve you a little wine. I don't mean to hoard it all for myself. No, no. Put your hand back on my hip. You know very well you're not to hold it yourself. You're so clumsy you'd probably only spill it all over your clothes and humiliate yourself. And we wouldn't want that. I'll hold your glass for you. Sit up and let me raise it to your lips. There. Drink your fill. Let it warm your tired nerves. Finished? Would you like me to let you drink another glass? No? All right. Oh, this night has been splendidly refreshing. I almost hate to rest so soon, but unfortunately, imperial business awaits in the morning, and I require proper sleep. But another day will bring another night, and we'll have plenty of time to spend with each other in the coming weeks. There are so many wonderful things I have in store for you, pet. But I'm loath to spoil the surprise. For now, rest. Nuzzle into me. Fall asleep in my arms. You are my perfect, loyal pet. Dream of me. There you are. Still at the breakfast table. I feared you'd wandered off. Good, pet. Come now. I need. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting something? Am I interrupting something between you and my servant here? I mean, I see the smiles on your little faces. I'd hate to intrude on a private moment. Oh, I see. You were only thanking her for the lovely breakfast spread. How well-mannered of you. And it is such a delicious-looking array of foods, isn't it? All of these ripe fruits fresh from the orchard, golden breaded pastries not a moment out of the oven, creamy tarts and scones and rolls. But your gratitude quite misses the mark. No? After all, the girl merely set your table. A trained circus animal can do that. It was your emperor that sent for all these treats for his beloved pet. His chefs that prepared them. His coin that furnished them. Is there perhaps someone in the room more deserving of your thanks than some servant? You are very welcome. As I told you, there is no material expense I will spare to see the satisfaction of those closest to me. Unfortunately, we'll need to cut this splendid meal short. It's time for your bath. No, I have a number of illustrious guests who have traveled a long way awaiting an audience in the throne room. They've expressed a desire to conclude our discussions as swiftly as possible, lest that dreadful storm raging outside grow any worse and imperil their return journey. There is no time to spare. Put down that tart and follow me. Quickly. What did you say? You don't genuinely believe that I'm concerned whether or not you're still hungry, do you? You wouldn't be foolish enough to deceive yourself into thinking I'd place the whims of your fickle stomach above the responsibilities of the imperial court. Because that would be an awfully stupid delusion to fall under, even for a guileless creature like you. Now, get up. No, you may not take that tart with you. I won't have you throwing crumbs all over my freshly scrubbed carpets like some ill-trained dog scattering its filthy scraps around its master's home. What is that look on your face? Are you upset? Do you think I'm being cruel and unfair, keeping you from your morning meal? No, it's worse. That's defiance in your eyes, isn't it? Don't lie to your emperor. Oh, I see what's happening here. Those tasty delights I've placed upon your tongue, and those comfortable silks I've clothed you in, and the idle smile of my servant girl here have made you forget yourself again. I suspected as much. These last few weeks under my tender care, it's not just your cheeks that have grown a little plump and ripe, is it? Your pride has swollen as well, and I've already told you how dangerous that can be. Whatever are we going to do to temper that pride? I'm curious how long that little stubborn scowl would last if... Actually, no. I have a better idea. I'll tell you what. I've changed my mind. Let it never be said that Emperor Kairo is not a man of considerable generosity. Go ahead. Finish the tart. No. No. Don't apologize. I told you, I've changed my mind. Does my face look at all unsure or insincere? You need not worry about your bath. We can dispense with that for this morning. Finish your tart. Finish the whole plate of them, if you'd like. In fact, cram every morsel on this table down your little throat if it suits you. I can see plainly that you're simply starving, and I would loathe to stand between you and your so very richly deserved treats. Go on. Eat it. I said, eat it! Good. Chew it down thoroughly now. I wouldn't want you to choke. Oh, you'll have to excuse me. I have to proceed to the throne. But you may stay here and dine as long as you like. Gorge yourself to your heart's content. I will return to our chambers after the meeting. Until then, let me bid you farewell with a kiss on the forehead. No, no, don't shy away now. I can see you're still uneasy. You're not afraid of a little kiss, are you? There we are. Now, business awaits. Oh, and you, girl? Yes, I'm speaking to you, servant. Come, walk with me as I depart. Good girl. I have some special instructions for you. Leave my pet in peace to finish its meal. They're obviously very hungry, and they'll feast on just what they deserve today. Hello? Where are you, pet? You'll be pleased to learn that I've returned to you early. My meeting with those half-wit barons concluded mercifully ahead of schedule. I've been looking all over my chambers for... Oh no. Is that you out there, pet? What are you doing all alone on the balcony? And in this dreadful storm? Why, it's raining buckets out there. You're not even wearing a cloak. You're still dressed in your house clothes. You must be soaked to the skin. Here, let me open the door. Hurry inside, quickly. What happened? What do you mean? I know you can't help your chattering teeth, darling, but try not to stammer. I can hardly understand you to begin with over this howling rain. Yes, of course, I know how my pet enjoys going outside on the balcony for a little fresh air most mornings. You're telling me that you stepped outside earlier? And then... what happened? Someone closed the balcony door and latched it by mistake? Oh no. Poor thing. You've been locked out here, in the midst of this horrid downpour, in these blistering storm winds. One of the servants must have seen the balcony door ajar and latched it, not realizing that you were outside. I ordered them to leave you alone so as to not interrupt your special meal, since I could see how hungry you were this morning. Doubtless they obeyed me and left our chambers after securing the door, so they could hardly hear you calling for help. You must have been trapped for at least an hour, perhaps longer. How positively awful. No wonder you're shaking and shivering like some poor defenseless rabbit caught in the eye of a blizzard. This rain must have chilled you to the bone. And oh, water is running down your scalp in rivulets. It's utterly ruined your beautiful hair. This is just terrible. I can bear to think of how you must have felt cowering all alone out here for so long. With those baleful winds and this unrelenting torrent of stinging raindrops beating down on your poor shoulders and soaking every inch of you. But don't fret, I'm here now. Your emperor is here to rescue his darling pet. Take my hand. That's it. I've got you. But wait, I'm afraid I can't allow you to step inside in this condition. Your clothes are so cold and wet and clammy. You'd think they'd been pilfered from a shipwreck. Oh, I can't let you drip dirty rainwater all over my polished wooden floors. And besides, you're liable to catch a deathly chill if you stay in those wet garments. And we wouldn't want that. Take them off. Yes, all of them. Your underclothes will have to go as well, I'm afraid. They're no doubt as wet as all the rest. But don't worry, your master hasn't forgotten how shy you are about undressing before him. I'll respect your modesty and close my eyes. When you're finished, take this towel here and dry off, and wrap it around your body to cover yourself. And there we are. So good. Quick as ever to follow instructions. Shh, shh. Don't fret. I'm not looking. Finished? I'm sorry. I know how you chafe at being like this before me. That little humiliated look in your downturned eyes is adorable. But I promise that this is only for your own good. Here, take my hand. Let me lead you into the drawing room. That's good. Good little pet. How fortunate that the fire is already stoked and roaring, ready to press the warmth back into your chilled muscles and sinews. But after what you've endured, you'll need more than just a distant flame to warm you. You require a more intimate warmth. Here, let me sit down on this armchair, and you may sit on my lap. I'll draw this soft, heavy satin blanket over both of us. Let its folds envelop you. Don't you already feel so much better? Dry and out of those awful drenched clothes, wrapped up snug and tight in this soft fabric, the lapping flames of the fire embracing you from without, while the warmth of my body cradles you from within. And of course you do. No need to speak, pet. Your teeth are still chattering from the cold, and it's difficult to understand you. But your little purrs of contentment tell me all I need to know. Oh, I just can't believe such a trifling mistake led us to this. How horrible, you poor thing. Let me bring my hand up to stroke your hair. You're quite fond of me doing that, aren't you? Wrap your arms around me now. Nestle in close. You're safe now, I promise. No more cold wavelets of rain. No more ear-splitting thunder and hideous lightning streaking across the sky. None of those frightening things can reach my good pet within this safe, soft blanket. Focus on your emperor's gentle hand petting your head. Focus on embracing his nice, warm body. Relax. Is that a shy smile I spy creeping onto your trembling lips? It is such a relief to be home and back in my arms again, isn't it, pet? As we recline here, would you like something to drink? Something hot and fierce and fiery, perhaps, to warm you yet further? I know just the thing. Let me ring for a servant. Girl, fetch a cup of hot tea from my companion here, and remember to add a pinch of sugar and a spoonful of honey. I want this drink to be especially sweet on their tongue. They deserve it after the day they've had. Poor thing. Hurry along now. Good girl. My. What was that, pet? Did you think I wouldn't notice you hiding your head beneath the cover of your blanket as my servant approached us? Your emperor notices everything, as I often remind you. Not that you were being particularly subtle. Why ever did you do such a silly thing, I wonder? Are you embarrassed to be seen like this? In this weakened, exposed state you find yourself in, sitting here in my lap. Surely you know that she can see you whether or not you try to hide. Or was that little retreat beneath the covers not a conscious choice of your part, but rather the work of base instinct? Perhaps, and just in the nature of rats to try and burrow down deep in the shadows when they feel vulnerable. That is, after all, how you arrived on these shores in the first place, if memory serves. Skulking in a box in the dark. Perhaps such soft hearted behavior merely comes naturally to someone like you. Oh, what's that hurt look all of a sudden? What's that fresh wetness in your eyes? Oh, I see. I called you a rat again, didn't I? I know it so badly wounds your pride when I do that, but you simply must understand. It's very difficult to resist calling a creature what it so plainly is. It's so hard to pretend you're anything but a little rat. Scared and confused and helpless. When a few teasing words can make you writhe and squirm nervously against my body like that. If only you could feel the desperation with which your little paws cling to me as shame wells inside you, you'd see the wisdom in my words. Shh, shh. No need to apologize. I'm hardly upset with you. It's folly to be upset with an animal for acting in accordance with its nature. And I know very well what sort of timid animal you are. Though, I will confess, it is a touch amusing to watch you now, behaving so demurely and being so delightfully submissive after your little tantrum at breakfast this morning. Oh, Pat, if only you could see how wide your eyes just grew. Fear looks so very adorable on you. You didn't think I'd forgotten your insolent behavior towards me this morning, did you? How you protested when I ordered you to your bath. How you looked at me with that laughable righteousness in your eyes, as though I was being so utterly unfair with you. Don't fret. I'm not vexed with you anymore. As I said, I'm merely amused. You were so confident this morning, no? Smiling and holding your head high, in good spirits, stuffing your mouth with tasty tarts. You looked every bit the pompous little princeling. You certainly had no problem speaking with my servant girl and looking at her in the eye then. And now look at you, cowering, clutching at my body with trembling, anxious hands under the blanket, frightened even to allow that same servant to see your face. I wonder what turned my pretty little darling back into this wretched rat. Shh, shh. No stammering now. Save your words. I know what happened. You dread the thought of her seeing you like this. I admit it. You've looked almost dignified these last few days, as all the hours I've lavished on preening and primping you have yielded their fruit, strutting around my chambers in your dashing doublet with those little bands of gold I gifted you glimmering on your fingers. Each day you've looked less a stowaway and more a sovereign's consort. How dismaying it was for me when I began to realize that pretty coat of paint I so painstakingly layered over your ugly underbelly was beginning to give you delusions of independence. And yet, though it required all those dozens of hours of tedious work expended to make you presentable, observe that it hardly took the slightest sliver of effort to wash it all down the drain. A few buckets of filthy rainwater to scour the gel from your hair and strip those beautiful clothes off of you, and my spell was broken, leaving you here before me as what you truly are. This small, wet, helpless thing hiding away from the world under its blankets, like a frightened animal clinging seamlessly to its master's chest, at once desperate for his attention and approval, and terrified of his wrath. Oh my, I wonder what that servant girl would think if I tore that blanket off and bared you to her gaze. I wonder what you'd do. Crawl down under the chair, perhaps, or beneath the floorboards. Oh, calm down. Spare your pleading, pet. It was only a joke. I'm not that cruel. Don't fret. I promise. You're safe under there. I won't take away your blanket or what remains of your dignity. It hardly matters either way. I know very well that she'll never look at you the same way again. That now that she's glimpsed the pathetic reality behind the elegant facade I cloaked you in, she can never truly respect you again. Tomorrow morning, no matter how glittering the gold on all your fingers, how well pressed the silk of your shirts, how trimmed and well styled your hair, she'll look at you and see only the pitiful thing huddled in my lap that she saw tonight. The thought of being humiliated in such a lasting way in another's eyes hurts you so much, doesn't it? I can see it in my own eyes, in your quivering lip. Are you about to cry? Oh, my apologies. I shouldn't have laughed at that. I actually feel quite sorry for you, having to learn your lesson like this. But you must know that you've brought this all upon yourself. I did warn you that teaching you your place would always be a pleasant affair. You may shed tears if you need to. I can see you're feeling very tender right now. It's alright. Let me rub your back and soothe you. There. Doesn't that feel nice? I so enjoy the feeling of your bare skin under my soft palms. No, no, don't flinch. You aren't going anywhere. Just let me caress you. It's your pride that brought you down to this humiliating position here in my lap tonight. Did you know that? That same pernicious pride that keeps straying you from the proper path of a loyal pet. This is hardly the first time you've been impudent or defiant with me, isn't? Your pride gives you these high-minded ideas about dignity and self-regard. It deceives you into forgetting who and what you truly are. It makes you do silly, stupid things, like asking your emperor to delay his important business so that you might have time to stuff your greedy mouth with another tart at breakfast. Pride is not so very different from a flame, you know? Like the ones flickering at the hearth in the fireplace over there. A little flame can be a very useful and comforting thing. I hardly need to convince you of that, given your current position. But left unchecked, flames only devour. No matter how much they're fed, they hunger for more and more. So, from time to time, it's prudent to douse them with a measure of cold water. And a prideful ego is no different. Sometimes it grows beyond its bounds, and a healthy dose of cold water is in order. Oh, poor thing. I can see that fearful realization dawning in your eyes. Did you think it was mere chance that you were locked outside in the freezing rain today? I thought it quite a poetic punishment, truth be told. Since you were too arrogant to take your warm, comfortable, lavender-scented bath with me, I thought I'd instruct my servant to arrange for you to be introduced to a decidedly less hospitable bath, courtesy of nature. And that bath cleaned up your stubborn demeanor quite nicely, didn't it? No, don't look so frightened, pet. I knew you'd only be trapped for an hour or so before I came to take you in out of the cold. I would never put you in any real danger. Your behavior simply demanded a hard lesson today, and I reluctantly had to oblige you. But don't be afraid. Don't shy away from me. nuzzle back into my chest. You will stay here as long as I want you to. Rest easy. Your punishment is over, and you're forgiven for your behavior. I only hope that you won't soon forget what I taught you today. Ah, there you are, girl. What took you so long? Hand me the teacup. Oh, my companion. Yes, their little whimpers tug at one's heartstrings, I know, but I assure you they're quite all right under there. They're merely embarrassed to have you see them in such a compromising position, that's all. Good girl. You're dismissed. You may bring your head out from under there, pet. She's gone. Here, let me serve you your tea. There you are. Open your mouth and sip. Mmm, delicious, isn't it? Oh, you're very welcome, pet. And what a deliciously servile tone that you used to say, yes, Emperor, just now. Color me impressed. I almost thought you'd forgotten how to address me properly with all of your brashness in these last weeks. But now, I see that you just needed a little reminder. Perhaps you'll always need a little reminder of what you are every now and then. A few drops of proverbial rainwater drizzled down your back to keep you humble. That's perfectly all right. I'm quite willing to do what I must to properly train you. I care very deeply for you, pet. I hope you know that. You're my very favorite plaything. And even if you sometimes give me cause to be harsh with you, my affection for you is undiminished. In fact, it's that very affection that moves me to administer such lessons to protect you from your own worst impulses. I so dread to see my precious pet debase itself by slipping into disobedience and disarray. I only want what's best for you. You know that, don't you? Oh, thank you, pet. I knew you would come to understand the method in my treatment of you after all was said and done. Here, perhaps a gentle kiss will help remind you of the depth of my love for you. Oh, you liked that, didn't you? Here, take another sip of the tea and look into my eyes. Oh, you always look so soft and helpless when you cry. Let me just wipe that stray tear from your cheek. Don't be afraid. I'll remind you, you're not being punished anymore, and I'm no longer at all angry with you. You're safe now, here in my arms. I know with certainty that you'll be very good for a long while after tonight. I confess, your little whines and whimpers have stirred my heart. I'm not without mercy. Shall we retire to bed early tonight, so that my pet can rest and recover after the ordeal it put itself through today? I'll give you an especially gentle and loving bath tonight. The warm water will nurse your aches and pains. After that, we'll adjourn to our bed for your nightly lessons in affection. And I promise, my tender touch and careful hands will make you forget all about this ugly business. Don't worry. I'll permit you to wear your night clothes to bed. I won't keep you like this, tempting as it would be to do so. Oh, shh, shh. It's all right. No need to sputter. I understand you're a touch overwhelmed. You need time to recuperate. We can stay here like this as long as you desire. Just close your eyes and nestle in. Feel the beating of my heart so very close to your own. You are warm and safe and loved here in your Emperor's arms. You wandered away from me on your path for a brief moment. That's all. The important thing is that I found you before you strayed too far and reined you in. I brought you back to your rightful place. And not a moment too soon, I think. There is more than one storm lurking on the horizon, pet. I do not doubt that you have felt the change in the air. Loyalties will shift like quicksand beneath our feet. Once hushed whispers in the dark. Winding streets below us grow even louder. Momentous times await my empire. The hour is fast approaching when I will require the company and confidence of my faithful servant out in the world beyond the confines of this chamber. When master and pet must, of necessity, uncover parts of one another, so far kept hidden, and open ourselves to a more raw and complete intimacy between our minds and between our bodies. That is why I must be so firm and forceful with you in your training. When that hour arrives, your negligence must be unwavering. But do not be afraid, pet, because your emperor has no fear for you. He knows that though you stray, you will stay the course in the end. You're mine, aren't you? You belong to me. Do you not? Are you not my loyal pet and plaything? Forever and always? Good, little pet.